dog. That's the problem.
Don't run away from a Mexican immigrant.
You can't. You won't let me answer a question without doing it.
First of all, can I say I'm so sorry that everyone's trying to surround you and try to isolate you, making it seem like you're the only one here that actually cares about what's going on. I just want to let you know that she's out here representing a lot of people. A lot of people are actually scared to speak their mind, but some of us are not, and we're not going to let you guys come right here trying to overstep us just because you think you have some sort of power. So, no.
I'm giving you a platform. She doesn't think I have.
I love this video, and the reason why I love this video is because it perfectly summarizes exactly what's happening in politics today.
At the Charlie Kirk Prove Me Wrong tour. I am so excited. It is going to be an amazing day. We're going to be getting some content, and there's one little liberal protester that we're going to go and try to talk to and see why she's so angry. Let's go. Hi ma'am, how are you? I'm making videos for my YouTube channel. I'd like to know why you're out here today.
I'm out here because I heard the Red Hats were coming. The Red Hats are coming!
The Red Hats are coming!
The Red Hats are coming! So I came out here to mock MAGA.
Okay, so what's the biggest issue that you're concerned about right now in America?
There are so many. My country's being destroyed. I spend a lot of time crying. They are destroying my country.
Who's they? Like who specifically?
MAGA.
All these people?
MAGA.
Do you think it's weird that there's a lot of women and like minorities out here?
Not really. I mean, you know, because I believe that Americans are all equally vulnerable to brainwashing and equally vulnerable to the lies of a felon and a con man. I'm just really sad that there are this many Americans that there are this weak.
Yeah. Well, you believe Trump's racist, right?
Oh yeah.
So why would all these brown and black people be out here supporting Trump, do you think?
That's something you'd have to ask them. I don't know. I mean, it's easy for me to stand over here as a white person and say, you know.
So if you guys don't know what's going on here, this young woman is at a rally for a conservative, and the person she's talking to is a liberal protester who is against conservatives or Republicans, and specifically MAGA Republicans. And she's voicing her problems with them. One problem being is that they're destroying America, verbatim, as she said. I will just say this. Politics right now is extremely polarized. I do hope, honestly, that we can get past this because I know it's entertainment. But at the end of the day, I don't want half the country hating one side and the other half hating. That's literally how a civil war started the first time. I don't want this to happen. Hopefully we can get to a point where we can get past these strange beliefs. These strange things. But nonetheless, let's see if her views for being liberal make sense. And let's see if the person interviewing her's views for being conservative makes sense. Let's go. I'm going to be really real with y'all. Throughout the entirety of the time I've been on YouTube, I've always had one mantra, and it's cost me money, it's cost me subscribers, and to this day, it'll probably be the reason my channel never reaches the heights, and it's the mantra of the truth, objectivity. There are channels out there who will flat out lie to you. There are people out there who will lead you astray, but one thing my father has always taught me is to stand on integrity. I took that through YouTube, I took that through getting a master's degree in engineering. I always took that mantra. I'm standing on integrity, and I'm standing on objectivity and the truth. And this is a big reason why I think you guys will really enjoy Ground News. If you don't know what Ground News is, it's basically a news site that has purely objective news, meaning that it tells you the literal bias of every single news story. And I'm not playing. It tells you the exact bias. And I don't do no sponsorships. I don't do them. But this is something that I genuinely believe you guys need to know about. I'm not playing. Let's look at an example. So let's look at this story that came out literally not that long ago. It's called Joe Biden Blames Kamala Harris Laws on Sexism and Racism and Rejects Concerns About His Age. So if you look at this site, this is what your page will look like. It will be a Ground News at the top. It will be a news story, and it will be all the coverage details. Make sure you check out the page at ground.news/LFRJojo. It's going to show you what the center bias is, where former President Joe Biden gave his first major television interview since leaving office in January 2025 on ABC's The View. which is something that happened. That's just literally what happened. It also tells you a little more details about it, such as Biden addressed the Democrats' poor 2024 election, which is something we've already talked about so far in this process. We already knew that, Trump was probably going to win. Let's be honest. But one thing that's very important is that it shows you what the left is saying about this interview. The left is saying Joe Biden blames sexism and racism for Kamala Harris's election loss, stating that misogyny played a role and that Biden acknowledged taking responsibility for Donald Trump's re-election, remarking, "I was in charge and he won, so I take responsibility," basically making Biden look very, very good. Versus the right are saying former President Joe Biden expressed that he was not surprised Kamala Harris lost in the 24 election, attributing her defeat to sexism and racism. He defended Harris's qualifications, saying she is qualified to be President of the United States of America. Biden acknowledged the negative impact of COVID-19 on public attitudes, admitting that we underestimate the phenomenal negative impact that COVID had. One thing that's very important that I love that Ground News does is it doesn't even give you an opinion. It just gives you the objective truth of what both sides are saying. The right mentioned COVID-19. The left didn't even mention that at all, but the right made sure to mention it. The right also kind of put the blame more on Biden versus where the left made it seem that Biden was taking responsibility. And another thing Ground News shows, it shows every single article. It's 42 articles here about this thing. What other site will show you 42 articles about anything? It shows you Biden touts close relationship with Harris, but not surprised by her election loss. That's a left-leaning source. It shows you the factuality. It shows you all of that. And then it shows you the right. It said, Biden said on ABC's The View wasn't surprised Trump defeated his replacement Harris. It says Biden says Republicans took sexist route to beat Harris. And it shows you the factuality. It shows you everything. So one thing that's very important here is that Ground News doesn't actually remove bias. That's not what they're doing here. They're showing you the truth. A lot of sites don't show you the truth. They don't care if you know the truth. They couldn't care less if you knew it was accurate and you didn't know it was accurate. So if you want access to Ground News, you can scan the QR code on this video, or you can visit ground.news/LFR Jojo, where you can get 40% off the Vantage subscription, where you can get unlimited access to literally any news in the world. You can get unlimited access to it all. It's not just politics, it's sports, it's science, it's all that stuff. I don't do sponsorships, but y'all, this is different. Y'all need to know about Ground News. They're built different over there. Anyways, let's get back to it.
Oh, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's using them. He hates them. I see it as being pretty embarrassing and sad, but they don't obviously see it that way, so.
Yeah. What's one thing that he did to black people that shows that he's racist?
Lots of things. I mean, he's bringing back stop and frisk. His commentary, his words.
What did he say?
What he said when he was at that black journalist dinner. Oh my God, that was the most racist thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't.
What did he say?
He was asking the woman to you're not being nice enough to me. I mean, it's just the way he talks down to people, and especially black women.
That's racist? Just saying
he talks down to black women. Oh my gosh. It's like he was treating her like his slave. It was really awful, I thought.
You think he was treating her like his slave?
That's how it felt to me. But again, I'm just clearly to other. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Why don't we ask somebody? Why are you're not white, right?
I was born in Mexico. I'm a Latino.
Okay, so you're an immigrant. Right. Explain to her and I, why in the world is a brown person supporting Donald Trump?
You know what? Because he stands for freedom. First of all, he's exposing everything that's going on with our country. That's one thing. And he loves this country. I have never seen any president since I've been here in the United States that shows the love for this country and the people, which is more important.
Okay, she says that he's racist, and she doesn't understand. She thinks it's embarrassing that brown and black people are out here, and women are out here supporting this president. I mean...
So what has he done that's racist?
Well, do you want to...
I mean, everything he does is racist.
What's just one, though? You said something that he said.
On birtherism, which is so profoundly racist right there. I mean, anybody who denies it's so hard. It's very hard for me with that thing. It was so close to me.
Okay.
But anybody who tried to call Obama not a citizen because of birtherism is just flatly racist. It's objectively racist.
I mean, isn't it fair to question if somebody was actually born here? Because you're not allowed to run if you're not born here.
It wasn't just questioning. I mean, it was a conspiracy theory and a lie based on rank racism.
Yeah, so if it's a lie, then why does it matter?
Full-page ad trying to execute the Central Park 5. He is so racist. He makes racism. I just can't even believe anybody doesn't. Like, it's so mind-blowing to me when people are like, I just don't get it.
Why would a racist permanently fund HBCUs and minority institutions?
Con man.
Why would...
You're very biased and you're clearly looking for an answer.
But why would a racist do that?
Oh, honey.
Why would he permanently fund HBCUs? You're very biased as well, but that's the amazing thing about America is that we can have differing opinions and have a conversation.
You don't want to hear my answer.
I do. That's why I walked up to you. Don't walk away. I think it's very brave of you out here. There's thousands of people out here, and you're the only one with a different opinion. That takes a lot of bravery.
There's lots of other people with different opinions.
Okay, but I want to know why you feel it's like so important to be out here. You haven't given me an actual
48-year-old republic is dying.
You haven't given me proof though. Like, if I'm obviously not white. Tell me why I shouldn't support this man.
I can't answer a question. You're going to keep talking over me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He is violating our laws. He is violating our Constitution. He is a felon, and he is a fascist. And everything he is doing, he is consolidating all power into his own hands, and he is destroying American liberty.
Do you think he's losing money?
People off the streets of our cities.
Who's disappeared?
Disappearing. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution, and he's the
Mexican immigrant. My father's a Mexican immigrant. You can't have dialogue. That's the problem.
Don't run away from a Mexican immigrant.
You can't. You won't let me answer a question without doing it.
First of all, can I say I'm so sorry that everyone's trying to surround you and try to isolate you, making it seem like you're the only one here that actually cares about what's going on. I just want to let you know that she's out here representing a lot of people. A lot of people are actually scared to speak their mind, but some of us are not, and we're not going to let you guys come right here trying to overstep us just because you think you have some sort of power. So, no.
I'm giving you a platform. She doesn't think I have.
I love this video. And the reason why I love this video is because it perfectly summarizes exactly what's happening in politics today. A lot of the people are just like this woman. You may not be, but a lot of people are just like her. Half the country, actually. And the other half the country is just like the other woman with the pink dress on. So there's really no more middle ground, and this is why I make these type of videos. I try to provide a middle ground. I will say this: there are a lot of scared people. There are a lot of scared people who exist right now under this presidency. The same way there were a lot of scared people under the last presidency. That's just how it works. Do you honestly think, as polarizing as politics is today, whether you support Trump or don't support him, that people aren't scared? You know they are. You were probably scared when there was a different president. That's just how it works. But when it goes into the claims, or some people would call it radical claims, that Trump is a raging racist and that he's destroying democracy, that's where you lose people who are Republican or who are conservative. When you say things like that, because it's one thing to be scared and say, I'm scared, I'm unsure what's going to happen now, you probably didn't vote for this, and you're not really sure what he's going to do. That's one thing. But when you start making those type of claims, you're just going to lose people who are on the other side. And that's what's happening in this debate. Something as very simple as this, which could have been a debate about politics or could have been a debate about legislation that's being passed, quickly turned into a debate about Trump being a raging racist. And now we're talking about identity politics, the same stuff we've been talking about for the past 20, 30 years, and we've never made a change. We've never made a difference to this point, yet we are still talking about it right now. You care enough to protest, but you don't even know the legislation that you disagree with. That would change more minds than you think, rather than just calling him names. Because people who support this man, they're going to get defensive if you call him names. The same way you probably got defensive if they called Barack Obama names, or they called Biden names, or they called Kamala Harris names. Different side of the same coin. Let's continue.
Have power because of the color of my skin. She thinks that I'm under people like Trump and white people. That's what you guys believe, right?
No.
I'm giving you a platform right now to speak your mind, and neither you or her have given me proof.
Putting words in our mouths.
yes,
I think you're just being bitchy.
Trump is oppressing people of color. Do you think Trump is oppressing people of color? So she is oppressed. Do you believe that she is oppressed?
She put words in my mouth that I didn't say, and that is offensive and it's insulting.
Do you think that black people are oppressed in this country?
Yes,
So I was right.
I think black people are oppressed in this
So
country.
I was right. So we agree.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm a Latino.
Now you're gonna walk away, right? Because you don't want to have a conversation.
What? You're aggressive and you're
I was born
mean.
in Mexico, brother. I'm a Latino. Do I look white or what?
You won't let me answer a question. You turn your microphone to somebody else before I finish. You're rude. If you want to ask questions, ask them politely and don't cut somebody off. And don't put words in their mouth.
All right. So what brings you out here?
Like being factual. I'm very observant. I'm not here to argue. I'm open to perspective, even if I disagree. You were asking why you think a lot of people voted for Trump, or whether it's a bunch of black and brown individuals out here. And I think this goes across the board, whether it's Trump, politics, even if I have my own personal opinion. I believe a lot of people are single policy voters and actually don't understand the depth of what they're voting for goes into. And to answer your question about, you had a second question about the HBCUs, right? What's it called now?
Why would a racist permanently fund HBCUs and minority institutions?
That's a good point. But then again, when we're looking at what everything that's happening with DEI and the HBCUs and how he threatened to take away the funding. I mean, we did have another president that also was trying to strip down the funding. I won't ignore that either. But it just kind of seems contradictory. So my question is, was it simply a promotional act to try to get the black and brown individuals to vote for him, knowing that's a large group? I mean, I'm not even going to give you the statistic, black and brown individuals that make up the majority of or minority of the United States. But I do think it was a political move. And that's just based on what I've observed and factual opinions, not necessarily, not factual opinions, factual facts instead of my opinion. But I just wanted to answer the questions because she wasn't answering them.
I think that he's rolling back DEI because DEI makes black and brown people and women feel like, well, if I don't have this system put in place, people think that I can't achieve something. That I need, as a black woman, needs extra help. I need some system put in place for me to get a job. When in all actuality, you should be getting into a school, you should be getting a job because you're qualified for the job. It shouldn't have anything to do with what you look like, where you come from. It should be based on your qualifications. And quite frankly, it's a waste of money. It is targeting white students and Asian students who also deserve to go to school, and people who are not up to the par to be into an Ivy League school and aren't going to thrive shouldn't be going to an Ivy League school.
I agree. So the thing about that is, all that is true, and I believe that's idealistic. Well, it's not idealistic. That's what the ideal thing is. The problem is, we don't live in a reality that actually abides by that. So if you're qualified to get in, you should be able to get in. I mean, I don't remember when it was put in place. It was either between the 60s and the 80s. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the exact dates. But it was supposed to be put in place to help. It wasn't supposed to be a guarantee that you get into university based on the color of your skin. Because I agree, the color of your skin shouldn't determine your qualifications. If you're qualified, you're qualified. But unfortunately, we live in a society or a country, I wouldn't even say it's just America, where sometimes I would say this discrimination is in place. I mean, they have like rules saying, oh, we're not going to discriminate against you. This won't be taken into account when your application is submitted. But unfortunately, that's been the case. I mean, from the what's it called? I'm going to say the South. Well, I would say mostly the South. I can't speak for California specifically. California is more, I would say, more liberal, but it was mainly put in place to prevent black and brown individuals from being discriminated against when they're submitting their applications to these colleges. Now,
what was put in place specifically?
What's it called? Was it affirmative action? Okay, affirmative action. As for the DEI thing, I can understand perspective even if I don't agree with it, but I'm going to bring something up. Louisiana, I don't know if you heard of it recently.
What was put into place was Jim Crow. That's what she's referring to. When it's where black and brown people weren't really able to get into a lot of the higher performing schools deep in the South. For example, if you look at one of the biggest football schools in the country, the University of Alabama, when they were first starting up their recruitment for black students for their football team, black students weren't even allowed to go to that university. That was during the Jim Crow era. So maybe that's what she's referring to. Nonetheless, when we look at schools like Ivy League, such as Harvard and Yale, and even I would throw in MIT because they're like the best technology school or one of the best in the country, they actually did roll back DEI. There was a Supreme Court race where it was found that having race-based admissions was illegal. They rolled that back like 2 years ago. Their statistics didn't change by much when it came to the enrollment of black students, or as you say, brown students. MIT actually had the biggest change, where black enrollment dropped by 3%. So this didn't change much. However, I do agree with the premise that introducing or allowing students to go to your school based off of the premise of race and lowering qualifications for these students is wrong. However, when you have someone who's putting out this information in the public, I always say, whether it's a Republican or a liberal issue, please quantify the issues, because if you don't quantify it and you just say something, you're going to think that this is a massive world-blown issue that's happening all throughout the world, and people are going to start thinking that this is true, and it's just not. Black Americans are 13% of the country, and there was a point in America, a really strong point, where black students were allowed to get into schools with lower test scores and lower opportunities than white and Asian students. That's just the truth. However, the Supreme Court did acknowledge this. This was a case that actually happened. It wasn't a case that we're still fighting over. It happened. It's a Supreme Court case that happened that said race-based admissions are illegal, whether you agree with them or disagree with them. This case happened. So when you're still talking about this, I would just say acknowledge that, yeah, people are doing stuff about this, and also acknowledge that when you look at these top schools such as Ivy Leagues, some of their rates dropped and some of their rates didn't drop. The question, however, that you want to argue is, are these schools using race-based admissions still? Because we don't know for sure. They don't really publish how they select students. There's a lot of vagueness on how Ivy Leagues or top schools select students. We don't really know all the details. However, it is in America unconstitutional or wrong to have race-based admissions as of like 2023 or 2024. But let's continue.
There was a Louisiana school board that actually rolled back one of the policies that they had for Brown v. Board versus Brown versus Board of Education. Sorry about that. And what's it called? It would legally allow them to discriminate against black and brown individuals in the schools and determine whether or not they're allowed to attend it. All on the basis of DEI, because what's it called? I guess it was under their DEI section. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if there was a situation where they put in place some system where it was allowed to specifically target black and brown students just because of the color of their skin, of course, I condemn that. That is not okay. But I believe DEI in itself is racist for the reasons that I mentioned before, is that it's making it seem like women and minority people need all of this extra help, need this extra system put in place for them to achieve something, which isn't the truth. I mean, my husband is an immigrant. You look at immigrants that come into this country, they're some of the highest scoring tests, they have the highest test scores. They're the ones that make the most money. I mean, Indian Americans come over here and they're even above white people. They're the highest earning individuals because they come over here, they take it seriously, and they work for it. A lot of people who are coming into our country, even people on student visas, aren't coming over here because they have this great respect for the country and they want to make this place a better place. They're just coming over here because they have the opportunity to do so. And some of them, unfortunately, these people who are the pro-Palestine protesters who have done these crazy sit-ins and campouts on college campuses, just want to make a voice for themselves and cause up trouble, and that's not okay. Especially.
So I'm actually going to end this video. I really love videos like this, and shout out to the creator who made this. I like the interview style videos. However, I would say the majority of people who are over here on student visas or H-1B visas or H-2B visas are definitely higher earners. She's right there. A lot of people who come over here on who are legal immigrants, even if you look at Nigerian American immigrants or Ghanaian American or Ghanaian immigrants who come here or Korean immigrants who come here, they definitely are higher earners than a lot of people who already are born here. You could attribute that to selective migration or selective immigration tactics, where America does have a semi-merit-based immigration process. I don't necessarily know how true that is. I don't know how immigration is chosen or selected in America. Some people argue that it is merit-based, where they try to allow the smartest or most capable people immigrate to America. I know that's true for H-1B and H-2B visas because those are like work visas for companies where you're able to immigrate based off of, or able to get a visa based off of your employment here. But I don't know how true that is for other immigration things. Nonetheless, my name is LFR Jojo. I'm going to end the video here. Let me know what you all think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.